Hello, Memorial basketball fans. I'm Charles Strayer.
And I'm Teddy Harless.
And welcome to another season of MHS basketball. The girls are playing Stevens Point in a regional round rematch here to start us off for the 2024-2025 season. We've got a lot to cover, so let's get started.
Last year was a very successful season for the girls, one that we're hoping to build off of. We were regional champs, ended up losing to Hortonville in the playoffs, but that's not something to be too disappointed with.
A very strong team.
Yeah. It was a great season, and we have something to really be proud of.
Yeah, absolutely. Fanning and his team doing excellently last season, doing very well in a very contentious conference, and then, of course, socking it to Stevens Point to become regional champions last season. They just did an excellent job, and that was in no small part due to senior Jordyn Peed, who graduated last season.
Yeah, she got 12.5 points per game at 57.8% efficiency, which is a great efficiency, great scoring, and she did well on defense too. She was a great player, and
absolutely,
it's gonna be tough to replace her, but I think we've got the talent that can do that.
Yeah, for sure. And like you were saying, Jordyn was also just a great person, like a great teammate, really good for that locker room energy. But we definitely have a lot of talent and a lot of leaders here still in this building that are going to make their return to the court to make this another excellent season, no doubt. And, it took us this long. I'm surprised. We haven't even brought up Raina Welsh yet.
Yeah, she is a beast, scoring 13.3 points per game and 10.1 rebounds per game.
Yeah, just an absolute force to be reckoned with in the paint. Memorial was 52% effective in the paint last season, and a big part of that was Raina Welsh. And she has been training very hard this offseason, putting in a lot of work, and she was a leader already as a junior on that squad. Now this year, it's her last season on the hardwood for Memorial. She is almost certainly going to be the face of this program.
Yeah, I would have to agree there. She can really step up into that leading role now that Jordyn's gone. Another area where some of these underclassmen will need to be picking up where Jordyn left off a little bit is that defense that we were talking about Jordyn having. And someone who I really think can help take over in that defensive aspect is Rhea Shaw, who had 2.1 steals per game, making her a defensive leader, and that is in large part, I think, due to her aggressiveness. And I think our team as well had a larger aggressive mindset on defense. So I think keeping that aggression and having Rhea step up as a real leader in that defensive area will be a big aspect towards improving our defense this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we love to talk about it last season. Remember the full court press and all that. A very nose to the grindstone, hard playing technique, and we love to see that out of Coach Fanning. Very characteristic of him and his coaching staff to really put the screws to an offense, no matter how good it's supposed to be, and just wearing them down over the course of those two halves. So I think that that's something that we'll definitely see. And then, Rhea is definitely the person to go to when you're looking for aggression. Very scrappy player, very good ball handler as well. Gonna look for a lot of stuff from her. She's also a threat when it comes to three-pointers from beyond the arc. She and now upperclassman Lydia Palmier, those two are going to be who we're looking for that three-point threat.
Yeah, I think this season brings in a good opportunity to take what might have been a little bit of a weakness for our team last year with 3 points and 3-point percentage and improve that to making it more of a strength, because we have these incoming juniors who were good last year and are only going to get better as they had another year to practice, to work on their game. I think 3-point percentage is an area where we can see a lot of growth with this team.
Yeah, exactly. We were a very paint-oriented offense, and that served us very well, as our record and percentages show. But yeah, just being able to expand that threat so that, the defense, if they never know where it can come from, if we can be lethal from any length, from beyond the arc, that sort of thing, it makes a big difference. And I think, yeah, even from freshman to sophomore year, sophomore to junior year, seeing a lot of improvement out of those two, and they're going to be leading the charge there.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned scoring on multiple different levels, and like we said, Reyna's going to be a instrumental part of that paint offense who should only be getting better. And then we have Rhea and Lydia out past the three-point line. That allows us to really have an efficient style of offense, trying to get those easy paint buckets as well as those valuable three-point shots. When you have a team that gets a lot of paint buckets and a lot of threes, that is a good recipe for a winning program.
Yeah, exactly. And, we've been talking a lot about some familiar faces, some people we've seen get a lot of minutes here in this past season. But I think we also need to look at some people who are going to be coming up replacing some of those seniors who are also, they've got a lot of potential to make an impact. I think if I had to pick out two, it would be Mary Adams and Cora Graham, a senior and a junior this year, respectively.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and speaking of that paint presence, that's where we're going to hopefully be seeing Mary Adams show up a lot. I think that she can play a prominent role, especially in those minutes where Reyna is not on the court. She will be a prominent big inside the paint, so that's when she really needs to step up. And I think she can also work on getting more involved in the team and the paint scoring when Reyna is on the court too, because we'll be having more minutes to allocate around and she will have a chance to step into a larger role this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And from the beginning of the season to the end, just a lot of improvement there personally for Mary. And I think what we were seeing last season that was very important was when Reyna was out, we would sometimes see a dip in production, and especially Reyna, the size and strength of pretty much unparalleled on most fields of play. So when she was out of the equation, particularly on the defensive side, you've seen a little bit of a shift in momentum. Now, if we can rectify that by having Adams in that position more comfortably, I think that that's going to speak volumes, because Reyna can go out, take a breather, and the game is by no means going to get away from us. We've got depth, and that we can use to our advantage.
Yeah, and speaking of depth, Cora Graham was great coming off the bench for us all last season. She was a great scorer coming off the bench, providing us with a lot of bench points, and she will be getting probably an increased role because of the absence of Jordyn Peed from the starting lineup. So I could see her really coming into a starting spot this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you talk about some of the most improved players. I'd say she has to be up there, getting a lot more minutes as the season ended, and that's getting into crunch time with conference standings on the line going into playoffs. And she was more often than not good for it. She was able to help out the team where she could, and you need that kind of flexibility in a player. And then, not to go unnoticed on the personnel side of things, freshman Nora Kling, about whom we know very little right now, as she has yet to take the court in a high school game, is said to be very good. She's about to, earn her stripes here on the squad. So very excited to see what this up-and-coming freshman class has to offer too. You see Marley Ferguson, now a sophomore, Nora Kling, a freshman, going to make a big difference likely on this varsity squad. So talent coming from all ends of the spectrum here on this team, and we are going to need all of them to come together to start strong, because we've got a heavyweight contender for our first matchup. That's going to be against the Stevens Point Panthers.
Yeah, we faced off the SPASH Panthers 2 times last season, once in the regular season and once for the regional championship. In that regular season game, we ended up taking a 54-64 loss. But then, when things really mattered, when the chips were all down, when we had to face them for a chance at the regional championship, we made sure that we came away with that W due to an amazing block in the final seconds of the game by Ashlyn Schroeder.
Peed with no defense. All the Abes need to do is touch this one. Shot blocked! Shot blocked! Schroeder blocks it! It's The Abes win! 52-51! Suebert with a chance to win it, but Ashlyn Schroeder coming out of nowhere to bat it down back to earth. The Abes win!
And just before we move on, Ashlyn Schroeder, not to go unnoticed. We didn't really get an opportunity to talk about her in that last segment, but she is definitely a presence on the team, a very good teammate, and just all around, you can feel a heightened sense of discipline when she's on the court, especially defensively, keeping everything down. And yeah, no, seeing a lot of her. She will also be a senior this year.
Yeah, she does all of the little things very well. She's a very smart basketball player. She's a real team player. She is an excellent player on the court, and she really helps to make this team a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Coach Fanning and how he sort of does things, you see that a lot, is that you don't need to be scoring the highest, points per game or getting the most rebounds or anything. If you can contribute in the ways that you can, and if you play smart basketball and aggressive basketball, you're going to make the team that much better. And he just works that to perfection with his roster, frankly.
Yeah, and hopefully that's something we see in this exciting game against Stevens Point, where they, much like us, have a huge returning roster, including their star player, Jada Suebert, as well as Nest, Zdroik, and Weiler.
Yeah, they have plenty of returning talent, only really losing Abby Jossie. And Jada Suebert averaged 24 points against us in her 2 outings versus Memorial last season. And that was very, very reminiscent of every other game she played. And we need to find a way to slow her down. There's really no eloquent way of putting it.
Yeah, she is a star on the basketball court, and that's going to show up in the game. The question is, how much will that affect the game, and will we be able to slow her down, or will we be able to slow the rest of the team down enough in order to still come away with that victory?
Yeah, exactly, because the way you look at it, with all of that returning talent in mind, Stevens Point is going to be spreading us very thin. It's not just as simple as cover Suebert and all our problems go away. This one is going to come down to everybody on the court is going to have to pull their weight at all times. It's something our team does very well, but it's something our opponent did well all last season. And, we're seeing a lot of familiar faces. They're almost certainly going to be looking to reciprocate.
Yeah, and with this being the season opener, it's very important for both teams to come out swinging in this one, try and get the ball rolling on both of these programs. And it's one that really could go either way.
Yeah, absolutely. And against such a contentious opponent for an opener too, it really makes a statement not just to your own team, but to everybody else. It really puts you on notice that, Memorial is all the team that it was last season and more. Now, this one could get a little chippy, too. We saw an average of 13 fouls that we committed against them and 13.5 that they committed against us in those 2 games. So a very physical contest. And like we saw all the way down to the wire in that contest, with like a 1/10 of a second on the clock, Ashlyn making a beautiful block to end their season. They will be looking for revenge, and it'll be at their house. So make no mistake, when we go down to the SPASH Fieldhouse, we're going to be facing a very tough team, and it's going to be a true test of how Coach Fanning's unit is going to come out of this offseason.
Yeah, it is an important week 1 opener and an exciting week 1 opener.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
It's going to be a great game to watch. Hopefully you can make the trip or you can watch online. It should be exciting. And as always,
go Abes.
Hi everybody, I'm Aidan Rickert, Eagle Eyes, Other Guy. If you're interested in more MHS sports content, be sure to check out our TikTok, Instagram, and check out some of the other videos on our YouTube channel. And while you're at it, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more. Go Abes!